Hi, and welcome back to Healer Within. This is Amy Marohn, your podcast host. I am with Sensorium Hypnosis, and today's guest is Anna Schmidt. She is a super sensitive psychic whose 40-year passion for the paranormal right from childhood has evolved into a career specializing in professional paranormal house and property healing. She works remotely, cleansing properties worldwide of unwanted energetic trespassers and the emotional and trauma energy, portals, black magic, and addiction energy in homes that attract them. The energetic cleansing of land, home, and properties as a whole provides a cleaner living space for better quality sleep, improved relationship interactions, work productivity, and an overall sense of happiness and well-being. Anna, welcome.
It's lovely to see you again, Amy.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. We have so many interesting things to dig into. And I just want to start, with asking you about your childhood, because I know it's pretty unique. So if you could share with our audience more about how you knew you had these gifts.
It's really hard when you're different, and you know you're different right from primary school, which would be 6, 7, 8 years old. You don't fit in, you have trouble socializing. It's because you have a different view and outlook on the world, in inverted commas. People don't see the energy world. And when you're young and you can see what's around us, like spirits, dark demonic entities, elementals, just energy beings that aren't human, people look at you like you're strange. You can't share it. You have to keep it
Sure.
to yourself. I came from a family that has a strong mental health background on one side of the family and lots of mental health issues right through my mum's side of the family. And I can talk about that because she's not here now. So when you have that, you don't share what you're seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing, because they just want to take you to the doctor and pop you on pills.
Sure. Yes.
And I knew it was the psychic, it was all the clairs had opened up, probably from birth, but at a very early age. I was seeing, hearing, mostly feeling energy around me that's not human, that is not, it is not of the earth reality in the way that we see it every day. So I kept a lot of it to myself. So I've grown up being quite isolated, even though I have a family. And I still feel isolated because you can't share a lot of this with
Oh,
people that they don't understand it. They mostly don't want to know about it, which is fine. I don't push my opinion or my experiences on anyone that's not interested, because we all have our own path. We all have our own direction that we're going in. And the paranormal isn't for everyone, but I have always been connected to what you can't see, always.
and did you have, your first experiences or encounters with the paranormal? That's I imagine that to be pretty overwhelming. Did you get that sense, or was that to you, you mentioned you knew you were different, but did it scare you?
No, never. It never
No,
scared me. Actually,
that's
living
interesting.
people, yeah, living people scare me a lot more than the spirit realm or
I
the
can
dark or the demonic realm.
I can relate. I can relate. And so, did you have any friends or any mentors or anyone along the way that was put in your path who you could have these deeper conversations with?
No, not until, because I'm 57 now, I'm nearly 58. Not until I met my friend Emily at the age of about 54. We came together because of another issue that we may talk about later on. But
Okay.
she was really interested and open and non-judgmental. And because I've always been awkward, like I'm tall, I have a physical disability, so I'm different physically as well as energetically to everybody else. I've just kept myself to myself. And you're asking about childhood. This is a funny little short story. I slept with my bed light on until I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad would come in because he was Italian and very strict with electricity. He'd come in and turn it off 2 or 3 times a night. And as soon as he'd leave, in my sort of half asleep state, I would just flick the light back on again because I would be getting poked in bed, like someone would be touching my shoulder or touching my hair. And it was only spirit level beings wanting help because they see that, I call it the psychic light, or that vibration that we put out. And some of us, it's right from birth. So they're seeing that energy going, oh, she can help me get to the light, or she can help me. And at the age of 5, 6, or 7, you're like, no, there's something touching me. I'm going to leave the light on. It's about all you can do because you can't tell anyone. So you just have to leave the light on. And I've never slept very well. I sleep maybe, even now, I sleep solidly 4 hours a night. And that's it. And the rest of it is an awareness of what's happening around me. It's like the psychic light is switched on 24/7.
Interesting. Do you notice heightened sensitivity during certain hours during the night?
All the time.
All
I live
the
on what I call high beam all the time.
Oh
It's
my
really quite
goodness.
funny.
Oh,
So I say to people, when
Mhm.
I'm doing property clearing work or personal energy clearing work, I don't work past 6 p.m. because I need about 3 hours for my energy to be able to settle enough for
Yes.
me to then go to bed and get my 4 hours sleep.
Oh, yes. Relatable. I understand that. And so you went through all of your childhood into your teen years. I'm curious, before, I mean, were you in any other kinds of professions before you landed where you are now?
Oh my gosh, we actually talked about this a little bit when I interviewed yourself. Is
Uh-huh.
that the universe, they give us skill sets along the way. So if
Sure.
I outline one of the things I did, in a mainstream way, I worked as a clothing alterationist and a teacher assistant for a long
Oh,
time in a
yes.
local
Uh-huh.
primary school, cooking
Uh-huh.
teacher, speech therapy, working with students and so forth. That was my income. And on the side, because we psychic people always have on the side jobs, I
Yes.
started out traditionally reading oracle cards. I didn't like tarot cards because too many rules. And as a Leo, I like to do everything my own way and I won't be told what to do. I'm
Yes.
a bit more relaxed now, a bit nicer
Right.
now. I was a bit of a solidly stern Leo when I was younger. So I started out reading cards. I love palmistry. So looking at the hands, looking at the lines on the hands. I really loved numerology. I connected with numerology. So I went through all this and then I thought I might do some life coaching work with people working spiritually. Well, that didn't work out, but it was the skills of learning to listen. Because when you do life coaching, it's all about listening. Because
Mhm.
I work at such a fast pace. Like my energy is, I'm a 78999 in numerology, which is the arrow of activity. So I'm on the go all the time. It's like eat
Yeah.
fast, think fast, talk fast, butt in on when people are trying to talk to me. It's a really bad habit, but I'm working on not doing it. But it's all fast paced, fast paced. So I then I was already doing a little bit of the house clearing work locally, going to people's homes, because you'll laugh. I would find that I would stand in certain places and my body would be the dowsing tool. So
Mm.
being a feeler, I could be in the supermarket and the universe will say, you need to go up that aisle. And I'm like, no, I don't need coffee. I don't drink coffee or any of that. You need to go up that aisle. And I'm like, no, all right. So I'd walk up that aisle in the supermarket and I'd walk through a patch of, I describe it as dense energy. So whether it's emotional imprints, trauma imprints, and there'll be dark or demonic entities there, just feeding off the vibration. I would walk through it and I'd go, oh, that was different. And then I would walk back and I'd stand there and I would pick up whatever was there and it'd come home with me. And then I'd have to work out how to clear it. So
Mm.
everything I've learned along the way, I've taught
Mhm.
myself. I'm very much someone that not that I only follow my own rules, but I like to learn from my own experiences.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's been quite interesting, but going anywhere and everywhere, can't even go to the local shop or a car park or go to visit a friend. We talked about me being called the spawn of Satan in when I interviewed you. This lady called me that because I went to a friend's house for a cup of tea in the afternoon, and there were entities in her home that didn't like me. And when I left, she had a bit of energetic argy-bargy going on in her house. And it was nothing I did. It was
Sure.
just that the beings didn't like me being there because they thought I was going to do an energetic clearing on the property. So they got a little bit upset. Anyway, that friendship ended with that lady. She wasn't very happy with me after that, but I didn't do anything. I just went for an
Yeah.
afternoon sort of get together. So I
Mm-hmm.
spend a lot of time by myself. I find I have enough to do work-wise and
Mm-hmm.
enough to do around home. I just live a little bit of a life of solitude because dealing with the living is quite hard.
Oh, agreed. It's so true. You describe yourself as psychic. How about mediumistic? Is that part of your skill set? And if so,
Oh,
how? How so?
that's complicated
Okay.
because people here in Australia or Tasmania, if you say you have mediumship skills, they instantly expect you to be able to connect them to grandma who died 40 years
Uh,
ago
uh-huh.
and talk about what she looks like, what she did, where she lived, who she was, all that. I always say I don't do mediumship because then that cuts that out. But if I tune into a home and
Mhm.
there are spirits present in the earth reality, I can do mediumship work with the spirits that are still here.
Oh, uh-huh.
Their
Interesting.
energy is different to
Sure.
great grandma who died 100 years ago, who's on the other side. I don't seem to have that. That connection is not my gift. It's working with the spirits that are here, and they'll show me parts of themselves
Mhm.
to have a conversation. It might be their big moustache, or
Mhm.
I saw a very angry man in a house one day who was just,
Mhm.
he didn't know he died and he didn't know why people were living in his house. And he had this big red nose and he used to bang his fists on the table in the house. And the family that were living there, this is the living people, they were quite shocked. They'd hear this bang on the table and they're like, oh, there's
Mhm.
no one there. Who's doing it? But the house would show me, he would show me, and I would work with him to get him to understand that he'd passed away and that he didn't need to be here anymore. And then I could help him with the angelic realm, could help get him to the other side.
Mhm.
So if you class that as mediumship, then yes, but I'm no good at sitting down and doing a full reading for someone that is wanting to connect with a past loved one who's left the earth reality.
Sure, sure. I would absolutely call that mediumship. You're just working more with the earth realm,
Yeah.
and the energies that are stuck here. I mean, that's beautifully articulated and definitely helps us understand how you work with spirit. I'm curious too, Anna, what about you share with me this incredible ability to sense energies. I call it clairsentience, right? We're able to feel whatever we need to feel to work with those energies. But are there times that you're doing clearings of a home or historic place where the energies are so dark and so heavy that it makes you feel physically ill?
Okay, that's my strong point is that
Oh,
I have this really solid connection with the dark realm. And
hmm.
not in a satanic or an occultistic or a magic way,
Mhm.
is that I just have this fascination with the dark energy beings and the demonic beings. I want to understand them, what their tactics are, why they do what they do, how they affect people. And that's what I educate people about on my podcast, because not a lot of people do that. It's all about the
Sure.
fear and the paranormal drama. And I
Yeah,
just I just poo-poo that.
yeah,
These
I'm with
beings are
you.
only yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. They're only here, they've got jobs and they do things for particular reasons. So, as much as I like spirits, they're not my first port of call. I've always had this strong sense of understanding how the dark and the demonic beings work. And I think that's because they're outsiders, and I class myself as an outsider. So I kind of have a little bit of an understanding.
Rapport with these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, they have pinched, punched, poked, prodded, pushed me, and given me electric shocks in the past.
Yeah.
And nothing frightens me. I'm just like,
Yeah.
really? Why are you
Yeah.
doing that? Is there a reason? Talk to me. Talk to me. And then they're like, why? Why does she want to talk to us? They're expecting me to go, oh my God,
Yeah.
why? I'm like,
Completely.
no. I always say to people, observe without fear.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean be reckless. It's nothing about being reckless and going into places doing exorcisms and all that. That's not part of what I'm talking about. It's about observing what's going on in the environment. Just like when I was walking through the supermarket and I walked through that thick patch of something and I went, oh, that felt different to standing there. I'm going to go back and stand in that again and see what it is. So this is how
Right.
I've learned about this, is
Mhm.
from my own experiences. And then I can give people a unique perspective about how this works in a real way, like in a relevant way. That's what people
Sure.
like about what I do, is that
Yes.
I don't go through their homes doing drumming or saging.
Mhm.
They both have relevant purposes, but
Mhm.
not for clearing dark and demonic beings in homes. You have to know why they're
Sure.
there, and it's about doing the detective work. So I'm very much a bit of a paranormal detective. I love unpacking
Mhm.
what these beings are up
I,
to.
my heart is smiling because I'm thinking, Anna, you're a relationship person. You're digging down. You're like the therapist to these negative beings, and so I'm smiling. And I also think, creative problem solver. You actually have to get inside the energy, or get up close to it fearlessly to understand it and not allow it to push you around. So you've
Absolutely.
got a lot of, chutzpah in this, and I imagine that comes with a lot of practice, a lot of experience, a lot of time in the trenches, so to speak. And as you're sharing these very interesting stories, the other thing that I wanted to ask you, and I think this would be very interesting for, I bet there are other people who are wondering the same thing. Have you encountered a situation where you've gone into a home to help a client or even a historic landmark and noticed a person who has an attachment, an entity?
Most people, and most people aren't going to like me saying this, I would, if I had to estimate, I would say at least 70% of the population at some time in their lifetime have had either a spirit or a dark or a demonic level attachment. And the reason I say that is because they're attracted to us because of our vibration. So if you're going through trauma, so you've got a lot of grief because you've lost someone and you're not dealing with it and you're not having counseling, you're bottling it all up and you're just grieving for someone that you've loved and they're just not here anymore, you're going to attract a demonic level entity that loves the vibration of grief, and
Ah,
they're going to hang
uh-huh,
around you. If
uh-huh.
you have holes in your energy field or your energy field protection, your chakras, your consciousness, your meridian lines, the entities can get in, and
Mhm,
then their job is to poke you to create more grief so that
mhm.
they can then feed off it. So you're getting sicker and sicker mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. You're basically feeding these entities
Sure.
desires and what
Yeah,
they need.
yeah.
So I go in and I clean it all out. And then I say to
Mm,
the person, I found a lot of this and it's been there for approximately this amount of time. There's something that's happened to you within, say, the last 20 years. And they'll go, oh, I lost my dad in a tragic car accident. He died, say, 18 years ago. And I'll say, have you had any counseling around this? Oh, no, I'll deal with it myself. And I'm going, well, it's great to do some self-help work, but you also need to talk about it with a trained professional to give you strategies to cope grief counseling would really benefit you
Mhm.
and to be able to talk about it, share it, get it out of your system. Because as much as I've done an energetic clearing for you, the beings will come back. If you create that big pool of grief again, you're
Right.
pumping out that vibration. That's what attracts them.
Yeah. Yeah. Great insight. Great insight. I've certainly seen it here in my space, and I'm glad you said that. I mean, that's very helpful for a lot of people. How much, I mean, have you encountered people with these attachments, or let's just say dark energies, and you get a sense that maybe these attachments are from a past life? Have you encountered that?
Ah, yes. I
Mhm.
worked on a 6-year-old boy many, many, many years ago who's now still alive, and he's now in his early 20s because his mum will contact me every now and again and go, oh, look, little Freddie is doing really well. Thank you so much for your work. He was angry from birth,
Mm.
like throw it angry, like swearing, throwing, kicking, punching. And he came from a really good family, like really solidly Christian based, Christian ethics, no detrimental viewing in the home. They weren't watching video, no, awful graphic movies or graphic video
Mhm.
games. There was no arguing. Everything was sorted out. If there was a problem, they all sat around the table and talked about it. So he came from a very good moral upbringing. And the mum's like, I don't know what I've done wrong. I said, I don't think you've done anything wrong. So when I did my dowsing, because I work with my pendulum helper, as I call this
Mhm.
person, they won't tell me who they are or whether they're an angelic being, but that's their name. And
Mhm.
I got back to birth and I went, okay, in the womb. And they went, no, go back further. So for 3 previous lifetimes, this boy had grown into an adult and then passed away each lifetime, carrying all of this anger, rage, hostility. I can't remember the reason because it was such a long time ago. But he carried that through each lifetime
Mhm.
into this lifetime and brought all the entities with him that were attached to
Oh.
his
Mhm.
soul energy that
Mhm.
leaves the body and then re-inhabits another body if you believe in reincarnation.
Sure. Yeah.
But I managed to remove the entities,
Mhm.
and it did take, I think it was 6 to 12 months for his brain to fully recalibrate and to
Mhm.
change the learned behaviors that he'd had pre-birth. But
Mhm.
his mum said he's still doing well and he's alive and he's working. And I don't know if he has a family of his own now, but it's really interesting how these beings can attach to people in different lifetimes because of what we do in our
Mhm.
previous lifetimes.
Oh, that is so fascinating. Anna, you and I could talk for days nonstop,
Yeah.
because this is an area that I've worked in, but it's so wonderful to meet another person who's just kind of next level, and has really dedicated her life to this incredible and unusual. It's very, very unique. What I'd love to dig into is kind of left over from our conversation the first time you and I connected. And I'm fascinated about some of the coursework that you're doing now. And I would love for you to share a little bit more about what you've been learning. Because I know, like,
Ah,
most light workers and healers, no matter what capacity we're working in, I always feel like we're always taking classes. We're always upskilling. We're trying to understand things on a deeper level, and we're always continuing to layer in more and more wisdom and knowledge. So whatever you're inspired to share, please do.
well, I mentioned earlier that I'm a Leo. I'm a really bossy, strong-minded, loudmouth Australian because it just is my nature and it's the way I am. And I always wanted to do everything my own way. So I never actually did any courses
Mhm.
until recently. I met a lady through Facebook and I have my Facebook page locked for a particular reason, because I'd been under a magic attack for a particular reason for the last 4 years, which I finally got on top of. Thank you, Jesus. It's actually working now.
Right.
And there's a reason why I say that, is that this lady wanted to friend me on Facebook, and I was very, is she part of the magic community? Like, my trust level now in humanity is very, very low. Like, I don't trust anyone because of the magic, the voodoo, sorcery, and magic attack, and the way it gets in and damages people's mental, emotional bodies and their physical bodies and their energy bodies. I'm just like, no. I learned about all that by myself as well. Nothing you read online is actually relevant to the way that people attack you, but we won't get into that subject.
Yeah.
So this lady, I went, I don't know, do I friend her? And I just hit yes. And I'm like, wow, that wasn't me that hit accept. So, okay. So this particular lady was connected to St. Joan of Arc's Old Catholic Church, which is a virtual church online, which is 2 female priests and trained exorcists who have their own online church. They were a breakaway from another group. And as you do, you join their group and you just see what comes up on Facebook. This is how the universe uses social media. As much as it has negative connotations, it's also very good for connecting people.
Sure it is.
So this post came up, religious demonology, and I went, ooh, that's interesting, because I knew there was something missing, because I trained myself in everything. Remember, bossy, not going to do anything anyone else's way. And I'm like, nope, I'll just do everything my own way, because then I can trust that. I think I've probably got trust issues from previous lifetimes. Who knows? So I met Reverend Leslie Bonga, who is a trained religious exorcist and demonologist. And she trained myself and another couple of ladies online. It took about 4 to 5 months. And I had a lot of the background work already in place because I've been doing my own work. But it was the connection to, and I actually thought I had a good religious connection because I work with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael. We as human beings, and we talked about this previously, we actually don't do anything. We are the channels for the higher vibrations, whether you work with cosmic beings, angelic beings, Archangel, God, Jesus, whoever. We are the channel, and that energy comes through us to go out into this reality.
Completely.
And I needed to upskill myself in working with God. You want to put it that way. Now, I was brought up a Catholic, but I'm not a practicing Catholic because I didn't like church. Too many people, too many cliquey groups. You wouldn't think there'd be cliquey groups in churches, but there are.
Sure there are.
Judging people and you don't fit in and all that stuff we all go through. So I went, nope, don't go to church. And I actually said that to Reverend Leslie. I said, look, I don't go to church and this is the reason why, but I talk to God on a daily basis. So I've learned now this is interesting. Now, Reverend Leslie may not agree with me in the way that I approach this, but I'm doing it again from my own learning and my own experiences. Everything I've gone through is through my own experiences and then trying to find a way to protect or to clear energy. Working with God, Jesus, Mother Mary, the archangels, is really good for clearing dark or demonic entities or transitioning spirits. I call in Archangel Azrael, who is the transitioner of souls. He'll come in. I'll help the spirits remove whatever emotions and trauma imprints, have a chat with them. Why they go with the archangels. That's the easy part. The dark and the demonic entities, they are, Reverend Leslie says they are tethered to God for a particular reason, because the dark and the demonic entities are fallen angels. So technically they're part of the angelic realm, which is connected to God's source creator energy. That's fine. So we can use prayers. There's lots of prayers on YouTube. There's lots of prayers online that you can work with to clear dark and demonic entities. I find it works to a certain level. This is where I kept my mouth shut doing this course. I'm like, Sometimes, depending on what the entities are attached to, you need to work it out. You need to go through and go, okay, yeah, this person has experienced depression or loneliness, or they've overdosed, or they've got a bloodshed vibration. You need to clear that vibration, then the entities will go. So you can work with prayer and religious approaches to clear some dark and demonic entities. When it comes to working with voodoo, sorcery, and magic, this is interesting, is that the religious approach doesn't work. Now, when I spoke with Reverend Leslie, she was like, yeah, but God and Jesus they oversee everything. They are, they are it. Like, that is the creator of the universe. They oversee everything in the environment. But I tried using the prayers and the different approaches online, and the magic didn't shift. And I think it's because, even though it comes from a very dark place, it is created by humans. It's created by free will and intention. What I call the magic entities, or the magic mailmen that deliver the voodoo, sorcery, and magic to people to cause problems, they are not of God's creation. They come from magic realms, the voodoo, sorcery, and magic realms, as I call them. They are summoned entities. Created through human free will and intention to do harm to others. So the religious approach doesn't seem to shift them. I can work with Archangel Michael to remove them, but it's all about the words that you use to create the release statements, the removal statements, the disposal statements. And I don't share those statements with anyone because it's protecting many, many, many people, babies, children, adults. It's only myself that knows those. So I hope that's answered your question. It's a little bit of a complex topic when it comes to looking at dark and demonic entities, and then the voodoo, sorcery, magic beings. The summoned entities are a total different kettle of fish. But I really enjoyed doing the religious demonology course because it gave me a better understanding of the religious connection to how the demonic entities work.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and I find, and a lot of helper healers, light workers, they discover these gifts either sometime in their childhood or through some sort of spiritual awakening. But a lot of us take classes after the fact to give us a better framework. But also, I think in those classes or workshops, that's where our soul tribe is. That's where we meet some of our best friends or kindred spirits, or we're able to cross-refer clients to each other because we all are in a slightly different niche. There's some overlap, but it's, for me, those workshops and classes also the same. I mean, we all have discernment. I mean, what you're describing is, decades of wisdom and a deeper understanding that comes from experience. And a lot of times, and I even found this in hypnosis training, a lot of times I feel like the instructors hop on the teaching bandwagon too early, before, like at year 3 or year 4. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I mean, I've been doing this for a decade and I'm constantly learning things from crazy scenarios that clients are bringing me that I may not have encountered before. But we need those people, don't we? And we need those stubborn situations, because in a lot of ways, Anna, what you are is a creative problem solver. And you're doing complex problem solving. And I bet a lot of people come to you Anna, and they've said, oh, we've tried this, and the church has come in, and our neighbor who says she's an energy healer, or she works with angels, and then and this happens to me in the hypnosis world. People will say, Amy, I've tried everything. I've been through 7 years of therapy, and uh, 3 therapists in the last 3 years, right? And I know that you get those scenarios too. You get like the hardest, most stubborn cases, or the people have tried everything and the energies keep coming back. And so I commend you for that discernment piece. And I always say the final authority is spirit.
Yeah.
Whomever, whatever that is. For some people, it's the divine self. For other people, it's God or Jesus or Buddha, whatever it is, or spirit guide or ascended master or D, all of the above. Such an amazing conversation. I can see we're going to need to do another podcast interview, Anna, because I feel like you and I just scratched the surface. But I want us to do these podcasts in digestible format, because I want people who are listening and watching to really digest the depth of what you're sharing and really understand what you do. But this was such a wonderful, wonderful interview. What I want to ask you is to share with everyone how they can find you. What's the best point of entry? And I also know that you've written a couple books. So share with our audience, how they can read more, how they can get a clearing, how they can ask a question. Enlighten us.
Sure. Before we go there, as you're talking, I had something that kept repeating in my head.
Mm-hmm.
When you think you've actually got to that final point of where you are working as a particular, say, I'm a paranormal house clearer, and you get really comfortable, that is when the universe will whack you with the next level of learning, whether you like it or not. They'll go, she's really comfortable in that now. We're going to give her something else. This is where the magic issues came in. And you were talking about people having, like, getting to that last point of call, is that they've done the mental health care, they've done the medical.
Yeah.
I'm getting people coming to me with physical issues that have been caused by magic. And I'm not going to go into it now, but I could tell you 10 or 15 different stories of people whose problems I have helped, or management has helped solve through me, that have been caused by magic interference from other people wishing to do them harm.
Well, we're going to talk about that, lady. That's
Oh,
a
yes,
great
that.
conversation. And it's a whole nother podcast, because, I believe this. I believe this. I really do. And I think you could share so much depth in your stories, and no doubt they will be absolutely fascinating, because I think I see a lot of people, including me, with mystery illnesses. Yes, they've slapped a name on it, and that's all well and good, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the interventions out there can reach the trauma inside of our bodies at the level that it needs to be met.
Well, you would be surprised at how easily people with very nasty intention can actually affect other people who aren't protected, who don't understand how it all works. And they think it's medical, which is fine. We always do the medical thing first, and mental health, if that's necessary. But I could share things with you that would make people's toes curl, because and it makes me a little bit angry, and I'll try and stay very calm about people harming others. But I know you want to finish up. So my website is spiritualbeing.com.au, and it's spiritual and be-ing.com.au. It's a play on words. We are being spiritual, or we're a spiritual being. So it's a little bit complex.
Oh, I like it.
So they can find everything through my website. And my podcast is Perfectly Paranormal, and I put out weekly episodes, and I share everything that no one else wants to talk about. So, and it's all lots of experiences, lots of client experiences, but always with names and locations changed. So there's all the privacy is kept intact. But it's all about educating people in a real way and not frightening them. It's about keeping it observed without fear, which is my motto. I suppose my mission statement is to help people understand that. But yep, you've got my website and you've got my podcast on YouTube. I'm at Paranormal Specialist. So you'll find lots of all the podcasts go there, and I do little paranormal shorts because I still love paranormal investigation and connecting with spirits, and it's just all good fun.
Oh, I love it. And you have 2 books. Tell us about your
Yes.
books. Yeah. And I'm going to put all these links in the show notes for anybody who's listening. And I need to dig into some of these, but tell us about your books because I'm sure they're
Interesting. Everyone loved the first one, which is your psychic self. It's very much like a lot of other psychic development books. It was my learning book because I'm not a writer, but the universe threw me in, you will write this. And I'm like, I avoided it for many years and then I did it. And it comes with a 6-week course to help people understand how they can develop their psychic skills and find the skills that work for them. And it's a very basic guide that you can then take and change it and alter it to make it your own. Because I always say, if you're going to learn something from someone, their way is not the only way. It's simply opening the door for you to go, I like that bit, I don't like that bit, but I really gel with that bit. And you put together your own process.
Yes.
So my second book is called The Darkness Within. Now, this one was a little bit trickier for people. It talks all about the dark and the demonic entities. I share all the information that I've learned about who they are, what they are, different levels of dark and demonic entities, how to work with respect with these beings, understanding how they affect you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I've got a whole chapter on signs and symptoms. But I always say, see your doctor first and your mental health professional. And if they can't help you or they're not fully solving the problem, it's an energetic issue. Now, that can be part of it or wholly and solely the issue.
Sure. I think these books are amazing. I can't wait to dig into them. And I sure know some of my clients are really going to enjoy reading that. So I'll make sure to put it on my recommended reading list. Anna Schmidt, super sensitive psychic who does amazing clearings of homes, spaces, land, people. And you're just such, for someone who does such heavy work, you are one of the lightest people I've encountered in these podcast interviews that I do. And I love that about your energy. There's a level of, I would call it spiritual emotional resilience in you that is just stunning. And I appreciate you. I love your energy. This has been such an incredibly interesting interview, and I can't wait to have you back. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And it was lovely speaking with you again, Amy.
Thank you. Take care now.